Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another Infosec Hub video. Today we're going to talk about the concept of a honeypot. I'm going to explain to you what a honeypot is. In this diagram you see an internal network that's divided by a switch or a router, an external firewall and the internet. And you see the honeypot. Also, behind the external firewall, you have several network services. Let's say, for instance, you have a web, mail, or DNS server running inside your network, but it has to be something of value. What is a honeypot? A honeypot is basically a deliberately vulnerable system, and it can be vulnerable either on having a weak or outdated operating system, or you have certain open ports running services like an SSH server, a web server, an FTP server. It needs to replicate basically your production environment. And why is that important? Well, a honeypot is basically there to attract hackers. So if you have an exact copy of your production environment and you put it inside a honeypot that's deliberately weak, this allows you to see where the attacker is coming from, hopefully based on IP address, but a lot of smart hackers don't use their own IP address. They either use a VPN or they use the Tor network to anonymize themselves. So IP is basically not very valuable, but what is valuable is the attack pattern that they use and how they gain access to the system, because this gives insight for defending your production environment. So if you have a complete copy of your production environment with fake data inside and you put it inside a honeypot, you can gain more access about who your attackers are. And if you know how they attack, what the methods they use, you can use this knowledge to better defend your production environment. Also, honeypots can be used to place computers in quarantine, while the post-admission control, and they're saying all computers on the network should behave in a certain way. And if they don't, then access to the network will be restricted. So a honeypot is very interesting if you're constantly under attack and you want to gain more knowledge about how hackers actually exploiting systems, because this gives you very valuable information about the kind of threat level that you're dealing with. Honeypots are deployed by many companies. I think there's even an online overview of honeypots that can be exploited. There are also deliberately weak OS systems, operating systems that you can download that are full of security holes and that you can run inside a virtual machine and you can attack it with another virtual machine. So it's all contained within that environment. And it doesn't really actually contain any valuable data. It's just to see how you can gain access. And again, this honeypot, this whole concept is actually just to make sure that you know who your attackers are, how they gain access, what is the attack pattern, how do they break through the firewall. And you see in this diagram, they placed it outside of the firewall, most likely in a DMZ, or they even connected it directly to the internet. It looks like they directly connected it to the internet, but that doesn't matter because you shouldn't make it the hacker too difficult. You want to make sure that they bite. It's basically the bait. It's the bait for hackers because they see it's a vulnerable machine and they start, hacking right away. They see you have port 22 open or port 21 or 22, and they just, they start hacking away, leaving traces. And this will give you all knowledge on who your attackers are and how they penetrate the system. This knowledge can then be used to implement in your production environment, which is behind a firewall and several layers of switches. I hope this was interesting and I hope it was clear. And if not, please let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next video.